I'm a huge Bob Marley fan, and when I say what does Bob Marley has to do with the point? Well, from my donors, they will hope nothing. But he has a son, is his youngest son, and I think he's a genius. I'm going to quote one of his songs. I had to make a change because of it doesn't flow if I'm saying it. But he says, some of the smartest dummies can read the language of Egyptian mummies, can fly and go to the moon, but can't find food for the starving tummies. Pay no mind to the youth, even though the future depends on them, but will save an animal in the zoo because chimpanzees make big money. It's a strong indictment, and it's easy to say because it's music, it's exaggerated, but it is a reality. As much as our society says that they care about kids and want to make a bright future for them, they're arming them with their own destruction, and knowingly so. And it's so easy to look at young people and blame them for what is the consequences of many systems playing out, and they're struggling with trying to make sense of it. The point is a community center, and our goal is to empower youth and families so they can live a victorious life. What that comes out of the fact that there's a lot of people in our communities, a lot of kids, they know victory theoretically because they're really into sports, and everyone loves to win. And that adds a backdrop that magnifies their losses. They're not the best students, they're not the best athletes. As much as you can turn on the television and you think everyone, there's millions of people in the NBA, there's just not. Millions of people in the NFL, there's just not. But the way our kids approach sports, they think it's that easy to get there, but they fail. They absolutely fail. They don't make it. Life is difficult. The backdrop of America is affluence. You know, social media, you know the lies with photos. It makes people look like they're always on a vacation. But imagine if you experience a lot of L's, a lot of losses. What would that do to a young person? So we believe in empowering them and strengthening them and giving them a sense of victory, a real sense of victory. But in order to do so, we're going to offer and create spaces that are safe, that are engaging, that are spirit-filled. And we say offer. We have a 33,000 square foot facility between two buildings. It's a community center with a full indoor basketball court, full cafeteria. We have a area esports arena. We have a trade, hands-on training center where the kids learn the trades, basic plumbing, electrical, carpentry, you name it. We even have a boxing gym, but we have a lot of Mennonite support, so I call it a fitness center. Academic center. We have a studio, a recording studio where kids can sing and rap and all of that. We want to give them something that brings joy. We have an art room, you name it. But that's just how you bring them in. But our goal is to empower them by providing just supports, scholarships, encouragement, and meeting their basic needs. In 2020, the point went on we developed a strategic plan, and we had one question: how do we transform more lives? Right? Because our greatest asset, our building, is also a limiting factor. If we filled our building with students that we can help, there will still be way more students outside our doors. How do we expand in a way that really maximizes our resources and don't leverage too much, which can hurt us? So rather than build new points, we had two strategies: support organizations that are trying to do what we're doing in terms of a community center that draws kids, that can empower them and support them. But also, how do we strengthen our relationship with the schools? Because we really believe we had something to offer. So what COVID came in the beginning of that in that program, and we were able to stay open. We worked with the health department. We were able to serve the community. We pivoted and just set up a program where we're helping to feed families that would be in need. When schools came back, many of us realized, especially the schools, that these kids had lost more than learning. Kindness and decency, respect. And many of our schools were suffering, Coatesville in particular, Octorara, where we have majority of our students. And a few things happened that really caught our attention. At Octorara, there was a huge fight where teachers were injured. And the way the system is set up right now, if the student who was the victim, if he doesn't go to the hospital, get checked out, and then press charges, you cannot expel students. So I received a call from the principal, and he said, we need your team to come in. We have a great team that work with these kids daily, because he said this, he says, the students that had this fight, they don't do that at the point. Why is that? And of course, no one really knows why, right? I mean, but he felt that our staff could be helpful, which we were able to go back, because all those kids were suspended for 2 days, but coming back at the same time. And the teachers were on edge, everyone was on edge, even law enforcement. Well, it made a huge difference. And Octorara and the teachers were very thankful for us. And Brian Changer was having his own challenges at Coatesville, especially in the high school, where there were even some violence with the teams. Basketball players, kids are going there to play ball, and the parents are becoming a threat. And so he said, hey, would you guys come out and do something similar? That is a stretch for us, because physically we're in Parkesburg, and we do have a significant amount of Coatesville students, but how do we get there? So the Alliance funded this pilot program and continue to fund it. And I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing and how it's impacted us. We believe every child deserves hope, at the very least. And we also acknowledge that things are a lot more difficult than we think. Before, in the past, people would say to us that the point draws all the kids that are traumatized and are hurting and are troublemakers. And there was some encoding to that, some racial encoding to that. And also, socioeconomic encoding. But if you look at all of the studies, middle class, upper middle class kids are having the same challenges. During that time, we saw suicides, and majority of them were in middle class and upper middle class families of young people. So what we've come to realize is that this trauma, this pain, this difficulty is actually everywhere. The difference is that the environment of the point and our culture allows some students to talk about it and seek help, and that's really important. Some environments isn't conducive to that. So our reach, because of this program and the support, we were able to expand our reach into Coatesville and reaching in different ways over 1,400 students. This is an incredible increase from the past, and over the last 2 years, we've been able to reach that many students. Currently, we have 279 Coatesville area school district students regularly attending the point. And we also have a program that we've developed with the school directly that the Bridge Academy are partners with us, where there's 40 at-risk students that were set aside or by the school, and we're working with them. They come to the point, and we're able to take them through aspects of that Restoration Path Crown curriculum. We also are doing something similar in the Juvenile Detention Center, while the Bridge, working with the young ladies, the Point, working with the young men. We take from this curriculum and we are using it and customizing it to the students' need. CALC was already mentioned by Jordan, which is the Coatesville Athletic Leadership Council. Incredible young men and women, but often what happens is that we target the 40 at risk and forget about the 40 or more that are doing the right things but also have the same challenges. I believe it was last winter when there was a shooting at a bus in Coatesville. I was on campus at the time. I was meeting with supposed to meet with the principal, and he had to leave. It was scary to imagine that students are shooting at a bus. But at that time, all these other teams were practicing, and the school shut all the after-school programs down. And there was this wave of students that just came out into the parking lot. And I realized that when we warn the kids that are doing the wrong things, we tell them that there's consequences for it. But we live in a community where the kids doing the right things experience the same consequences. And after a while, it's debilitating, and it can result in them giving up also. So when we talk about hope, we have to bring it, and we have to bring it heavy because of the challenges they experience. In order for us to be effective, we need our staff to be effective. We have a team of 23 staff fully, but in Coatesville, we are using about anywhere between 5 to 8 staff that will be on campus supporting. We have the QPR suicide prevention training that they are qualified in. That's a big deal. It's just because the conversations that you have, you kind of can see some students are leaning in that way. It's unfortunate. You don't have to initiate these conversations. They're looking for someone to talk to, and we've seen a lot. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot in our time. Mental health first aid assist and trauma-informed engagement. And we work with the schools. If there's any trainings that are coming up for teachers that we can be a part of, they'll let us know, and we make sure our staff are trained so they can remain effective. The Calc Leadership Program is a monthly training at the Point. We have breakout groups, lunch, mentorship. Josh Kranz lead that. Character development through the appointment leadership curriculum. Appointment leadership is very important. We're telling these athletes that they set the tone for the schools. We have a young man at Coatesville who's, I think he's 6'7", ninth grader, one of the top basketball players in Pennsylvania. People are coming to see him. And I shared with him that those younger kids that are coming to your games, you are the best basketball player they would ever meet. They cannot access LeBron James. They cannot access Steph Curry. Those ticket prices are way beyond what they can pay. But his leadership can affect them, how he handles things, how he carries himself. So we have to develop these young people. We can't wait for them to get out of high school. They already have a lot of young people looking up to them, and they can steer them and they can correct their behavior. So being able to harness these athletes, who are oftentimes the most popular students on campus, has been incredible for us. So we have the monthly trainings, the breakout groups, the mentorship, character development, the appointment leadership curriculum. If you would ever want to hear about that, it's an incredible curriculum. And we have guest speakers, sometimes athletes and role models that can come in to meet with them. That has been a wonderful group of students, and we've seen a lot of growth in them. We also use assemblies. We have been blessed to have a good relationship with the Eagles, and we often get the guys that are just about to get cut from the team, but no one knows that, so the kids are very excited. But it actually works two ways. Many of these athletes realize that the more they earn, the more they get. It does not give them the joy and happiness they thought it would. And that actually, there's a high amount of depression among athletes. And the NBA was significant. I forget the number, despite how much money they have. I asked some kids yesterday, we worked with the Coatesville group, when's the last time anyone's seen Elon Musk genuinely happy? If I was worth that much money, I don't know if I could not smile. But it's clear that having all that money does not necessarily bring joy. But these athletes are looking for a purpose also, and we want to harness that. They often have great stories and challenge students. Just the last few months, we've had Isaiah Rogers, Brandon Smith. Neither of them are still with the Eagles. And next month, we'll be having Brandon Graham. Yeah, Brandon Graham. And his wife. I think his wife is going to steal the show. She was adopted, and she has a story, and she knows about the peril of young people who don't have the supports around them. But we're really trying to engage our kids, and when they're able to hang out with these athletes, hear their hearts, but also be able to be close enough to touch them. It tells them that they have dignity, that they are worth it, that these guys would come to them if they can't get to them. It's a very important psychological impact that these athletes can have on these kids. We recently had a gentleman, Gerhard de Van Hage. Well, how do you spell his name? How do you pronounce his name? Jit, yeah. He's from South Africa, and he came and he met with the CALC group on campus, and they helped to develop the point men leadership curriculum because they had the shanty towns in South Africa where the crime rate was really high. And so the police went in there with force and realized there were 15-year-old kids raising their siblings. And the thing that came to them is that you can arrest them, but then what about their siblings? And so they had to train them as adults, as leaders. Now, this appointment leadership training was actually developed for the Los Angeles police after the Rodney King situation, where the problem was bad leadership in the police at the highest level. So we've taken that and we're applying it to our students on the school campuses to show them that they have their integrity, their character can actually have a lot of influence with those on their teams and others. We really believe in community engagement. In order for us to affect change and transformation, no organization can do it alone. And it's not an issue of funding, it's an issue of specialty. Everyone has their areas that they are exceptional in. And some of us are forced to try to reinvent the wheel, but partnerships allow you to do great things. So for instance, the point bring its benefits alongside the Bridge Academy to Coatesville. Although we have a significant amount of kids that can come to the point, they know the bridge. They've grown up in the bridge, and they have their needs can be met much more quickly at the bridge. And so those relationships are key for those students. Youth mentoring partnership, they do a great job on the school campuses also. We do events, big events. Tony Dungy, we brought Tony Dungy in November, and that was, it was very special. Tony Dungy's, I think, one of the best leaders in the country, regardless of it's not just sports. But he's in Coatesville, and he's at Coatesville, and he wants to be there. And Dick Vermeil showed up because Tony was there. And so our kids, our community was able to engage them. And then a bunch of Eagles players said, hey, can we come to be around Tony Dungy? And so our community was incredibly blessed because of that. We have a lot of stories about how this has been impacting students. Now, we often change the names and the gender, so it's always usually the opposite, right? So I was on campus, and this young man, and I'm telling the real story, was just pacing back and forth. And one of my responsibilities is to say, go to class. Our staff are doing multiple things. We're helping in the class, we're helping in gym, we're just helping moving kids along. And he just wouldn't talk. And he actually played basketball with my son on this team. And he just walked up to me, and I said, what's going on? And this is a basketball player, tough, strong. And he just put his head on my chest and started weeping. And he said, my father is in jail again, right? That's one of those L's, right? And some of these guys, they just want their dads to stay out of jail long enough to see them play a game. And they lose that. And so we're able to provide that shoulder to cry on, but real ways to support and develop these kids. He's a senior. We're working with him to see if we can get him into Thaddeus Stevens. When I asked him what he wants to do, he said, I want to provide low-income housing. And why? Because the first time my dad went to jail, we became homeless, me and my mom and my sister. We have a scholarship, and we have right now 6 students at Thaddeus on our scholarship. 4 out of the 6 are from Coatesville. And we're going to do another round. We have a scholarship at Pennsylvania College of Technology, I believe that's the name of it. There, we can offer $10,000 a year to 5 students, so $50,000 that we've worked out with another organization. But these kids, access to these kids has come through this foundation and a support and giving them that opportunity. We also have a scholarship with Cairn University, my alma mater, and they reduce our students' tuition by close to 70%. And so we are serious about empowering them. We don't want them to need the point. In fact, our goal, when asked what do you want these kids to become, I said board members of organizations, because that means that they're successful and they have something to offer. They've developed themselves to that point. So I'm going to just read some. We did a survey with the teachers and administration and coaches at Coatesville. That photo there is of Tuff Harris. He is one of the few Native Americans to ever make it to the NFL. We go on a Montana trip, mission trip to the I'm sorry, his tribe. I forget the name of it. But we take kids from Coatesville and Octorara, and they go to Montana. And they're serving on the Native American reservations. They're seeing poverty that even exceeds their own, but they also are empowered to serve others. And one of our goals this summer is to bring some of those students that we've worked with to our area. The tribe are really good basketball players. I mean, they're just great athletes, period. But they don't go to college. They don't get D1 scholarships because they never stay. They go back home to the reservation. And although they're excellent athletes, they don't leave the reservations. And so our kids who have some similar situations have gone there and empowered them, supported them, developed relationships, and now we're seeing growth on that end of it also. But just a few statistics. This is from the teachers, administration, and coaches. 77% say point staff on campus helps create an environment more conducive to learning. So remember, we want to create environments too, and you create an environment wherever you go. 70% say point staff on campus helps improve students' mental health. 67% say point staff on campus reduces the number of students who feel sad, hopeless, or depressed. 50% say point staff on campus makes them feel safer on campus. This is the teachers, right? Because safety is not just a student issue, it's the teachers also. It's a low number, but it's better than nothing, right? 73% say point staff on campus increases student safety. 53% say point staff reduces bullying. 67 says reduces campus violence. 67 again reduces behavioral issues. So these are real metrics that we received from them. 90% says the staff on campus positively impacts students, and I believe that is really important for us. We want to create an environment for these kids of safety, of belonging, of care. One way we do it, we have a program where I can go on campus with the principal and meet with individual students and use portions of the Crown program. There's two really impactful portions. One is a personality inventory, where it's a DISC-based program, but many of these kids don't know why they are the way they are, and how it's actually a blessing. Your personality is a blessing, but everyone's personality has some different sides of it depending on the environment and the external pressures. And at the same time, they do have issues with other personality types. So our kids are going around really struggling with certain things. They don't know why. And I want to give this story that really illustrates it. When we initiated this, there was a young lady who was having a tough time. Her family, there's a lot of addiction to drugs. And the gentleman who helped us develop this, Chuck Bentley, whose father was a business partner with George Bush Sr., he's the president of this organization. He came to do the first session with some of the students we picked. And he sat next to this young lady, and here's an African-American girl from Oak Street when it was around, and then they moved it to Akron, I believe. And a lot of trauma. Chuck Bentley, he looks like he should be the president of the country, the way he carries himself and everything. Very important to show what's happening in our communities. They did the inventory and the results came. And Chuck was literally like, wow, while looking at her results. And she got offended. And she was like, what? And really getting upset, and he said, your chart and my chart are identical. He said, but what I don't understand is how is it that I'm the CEO of a company and I can go anywhere and be CEO, but yet you're in the situation you're in. And he said, could it be that the personality that I've been blessed with, because of the environment I had, I was able to use it to get far in life. And you've used that same gift just to survive. She just started crying, weeping. What he didn't know is that her mother's addiction made her sell her daughters to men so she can feed her addiction. However, when children and youth would come, this young lady instinctively cleaned up, made everything perfect, told everyone what to do because she didn't want to break up her family. She has the same gifting to manage and lead anywhere she goes. But because of her environment, she's surviving drugs and sexual abuse, and Chuck is moving his way up the corporate ladder. Chuck asked her this question. He said, do a lot of people call you the B word? Again, more tears. He said, yeah. He says, well, let me tell you something. They call me the B word where I go, too. They call me boss. He says, because I'm a man, those same personality traits, that drive that I have, is honored, is respected, and people want to fall in line. You have the same thing, and they're calling you to be. So she's fighting against so much. Well, ever since then, she has housing now for her and her child, daycare. She's working, and she has a 4.0 GPA. Her life has been changed. It was not just that personality inventory, but it started to make sense for her, but also show her new possibilities. And we're able to be on campus and do the same with other students. And that's going to be transformative for them. In their own words, these are quotes from the teachers. They're able to help build rapport with the students and build our school community in a positive way. Having trusted adults that are there for non-academic reasons is a positive addition. They create genuine relationship with kids. Their influence is nothing but positive. They are proactive and reactive. They guide kids before they make poor decisions and help intervene once they already have. Students make connections with them and know their names. They find them as a friendly face. The number of negative incidences seems to have been reduced. Overall, they seem to be a calming influence. What are our challenges? Well, the more successful we are at these schools, the more trust we build, and the more students seek access. And so our numbers have grown. Over in 2023, we served 650. Last year, we served there's registered students that are attending 870. That's a really fast growth, and now we have to manage that we have to separate ages again, which means that 11th and 12th graders are only able to come one day a week, which we want them there multiple times because our nutrition program, which serves over 30,000 meals a year, is very important for some of our kids and our families. But that's the only way we can manage that growth at this point. But that's an issue, growing needs and limited resources. Every school in Colesville have asked us if we can provide a staff, and we just can't. The high school just needs as many as we can provide, but if we had one or two on the other school campuses, it would be great. Utilizing volunteers would be great, but it's a lot more difficult for volunteers during the school day. We have rising youth mental health struggles. It's up again. As COVID panned out, I think a lot of us thought it was okay, but there's a lot of tension in our society. There's a lot of things going on. People are afraid, the conversations at home, and we've just seen such an increase. And so that's something that we're trying to figure out how do we support. Greater staff and training demands. We need more staff, but we need better training. If you guys know of any trainings that you might do that might benefit our staff, it would be good for us. What we need, increased investment to expand staff presence, support for training, mentoring, outreach, and deeper partnerships to meet students where they are. We don't have all the solutions, and we'll be fools to think we can. But there's great work that's being done, and we need to spend time developing those partnerships. That's it for me. Thank you so much. I'm sure I went over. I'm a black preacher, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah.